Everyone's rushing to buy a 2025 SUV. But the smarter move might be to wait just a little longer. The 2026 Hyundai Tucson, for example, is gearing up to deliver next-gen tech, refined comfort, and a warranty that puts most rivals to shame. Hello everyone, this is Scott from CarlandTV. It's time to hop in the front seat because today I'm going to explain why waiting for the 2026 Tucson might be the best decision you make before signing any paperwork. Before I start, I would really appreciate it if you would push those buttons below, the subscribe button, the notification bell, all of them. This is not necessary, but those little clicks help a brother out. Plus, it pushes me to give you more valuable car-related content on your screen. Now, buckle up, and let's get back to the video. I've spent enough time tracking automaker release cycles to know when something's worth waiting for. Hyundai doesn't play the every-year refresh game like some of the others. When they update something, it's deliberate. The Tucson already got its design and interior overhaul in 2025. That means 2026 is where they start layering in tech and software upgrades, and this next one's a big swing. Hyundai's preparing to roll out what they call Plios Connect, a next-gen infotainment and operating system designed for long-term support and real over-the-air updates. It's not just a flashier screen or a new color theme. It's a jump towards software-defined vehicles. Think Android Automotive, but with Hyundai's own user interface, full-screen multitasking, app integration, and cloud profile syncing so your setup follows you across any Hyundai you drive. That's scheduled to hit the Tucson lineup in the third quarter of 2026, right after the Elantra gets it. Now, most buyers won't think twice about skipping a model year, but this is where it pays to be patient. The 2025 Tucson was already good. The 2026 takes that and injects it with a tech package that actually keeps pace with what EVs and luxury SUVs are offering. If Hyundai stays true to the report, we're looking at a smarter, more connected Tucson without needing to jump into the EV space or spend luxury brand money. This time, let's talk about design. Because even with all the tech, you still gotta like what you see when it's parked in your driveway. And Tucson's design is holding up better than most. Have you ever parked next to a car that just came out a year ago and somehow it already looks like a hand-me-down? That's not the case with Tucson. Hyundai gave it a sharp mid-cycle refresh for 2025, and those changes are carrying it confidently into 2026. The front end got reworked with cleaner angles, updated LED signatures, and a more upright stance that gives it presence without looking bloated. Even the XRT trim, with its black cladding and off-road stance, doesn't come off as fake tough like some other so-called rugged trims out there. What I really noticed when walking around the new Tucson is how much design consistency there is. Hyundai isn't throwing in random vents or overdoing the creases just to stand out. The proportions are tight. The rear hatch doesn't feel tacked on. And the lighting elements are integrated in a way that looks way more premium than the price tag suggests. From the side profile, you can tell it shares the design language of the Palisade and the Santa Fe, but with a smaller, more athletic silhouette. Step inside, and that design discipline continues. The dash is wide, clean, and unfussy. The center screen and digital cluster sit behind a single curved panel, but Hyundai was smart enough to keep real physical buttons for climate controls. That's huge. Unlike VW, Hyundai hasn't given up on tactile feedback. Everything's laid out in a way that makes sense, and the materials feel more upscale than what you'd find in something like a base RAV4 or even some mid-trim CR-Vs. And here's the thing. Because these design updates are so recent, you're not buying into a look that's about to go stale. You're getting the best version of the current generation. Of course, even with those neat details, they're not actually the reason why the 2026 Tucson is worth your patience. Let's talk about its tech. It's one thing to have a big screen. It's another thing when that screen runs on software built to evolve with the car. That's what makes the 2026 Tucson different. Hyundai's not just updating the graphics or bolting in a faster processor. They're launching Plios Connect, a full-scale vehicle operating system, and it's more than a marketing label. Plios Connect is the infotainment side of Hyundai's next-gen software suite, built on Android Automotive OS, but customized in-house. It's designed to support real multi-window functionality, like splitting navigation and media, or pulling up widgets while still displaying maps. It also supports a new Plios ID, which acts like a cloud profile that syncs your driver preferences, saved routes, and settings across any compatible Hyundai. That means if you ever hop into a new model, say a rental or a family member's Tucson, your layout, seat positions, and apps could all follow you in real time. The idea is to build a true software-defined vehicle without locking you into a single ecosystem like Apple or Google. Hyundai says this system will support over-the-air updates, app downloads from a dedicated marketplace, and even integration with third-party developers through what they're calling Plio's Playground. They haven't confirmed everything yet, but from the leaks and Korean reports, this thing is being designed to future-proof their vehicles into the 2030s. Now, is that going to matter to someone just looking for a daily commuter? Maybe not right away. But if you're planning to keep your car for 6, 7, or even 10 years, this is the kind of system that keeps your dashboard from feeling ancient 3 years in. Let's not forget, though, fancy tech won't mean much if the ownership costs are steep. So let's move into what might be Tucson's most underrated weapon. If you've bought a few cars in your lifetime, you already know most factory warranties don't go very far. 3 years, maybe 36,000 miles, and then you're on your own. Hyundai doesn't play by that rulebook. With the 2026 Tucson, you're looking at 5 years or 60,000 miles of basic coverage, and an industry-leading 10-year or 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. That's not an extended plan. That's what comes standard, right off the showroom floor. Now add in 3 years or 36,000 miles of complimentary scheduled maintenance, which even Toyota doesn't stretch that far. Honda gives you 1 year, Hyundai gives you triple. Oil changes, tire rotations, fluid top-offs. It's covered, and it's tracked through the My Hyundai app, so you're not fumbling through paperwork when it's time to schedule. And here's something that gets overlooked. This level of coverage makes a big difference when it comes time to sell or trade. A car with that much factory support left on the table holds value, plain and simple. I've worked with folks who swore by Toyota reliability, and yes, Toyota builds a solid long-term car. But what Hyundai figured out is that confidence sells. Back your engineering with warranty coverage, and buyers start to believe in the product. And in my own experience, Tucson owners rarely come back complaining about major issues. They're quiet, satisfied, and usually hanging on to the vehicle longer than average. If you're weighing the Tucson against a CR-V or a RAV4, you need to factor in more than just the monthly payment. Look at what you're protected from over the next decade. Hyundai's basically saying, we've got your back longer than anyone else in this class. And yes, specs don't always tell the whole story, but in Tucson's case, the numbers actually back up how comfortable this SUV feels. Step inside and it just breathes easier than most of its rivals. You've got 41.4 inches of legroom up front and 39.5 inches in the rear, which beats out the CR-V, the RAV4, and even the Subaru Forester. And that rear seat? It reclines. Try getting that kind of flexibility in a Toyota without jumping 2 trims up the ladder. I took one on a weekend run from Phoenix to Sedona with 2 adults and 2 teens, and we didn't have to play the knee war game once. The cabin is quiet at speed, even on concrete highway stretches. The Tucson isn't tuned for sport, but it's tuned right where it counts: ride comfort, highway stability, and low cabin noise. Hyundai worked on more insulation and better door seals for the refreshed generation, and you can feel that attention to detail once you're doing 75 down the interstate. Cargo room is solid too. With the seats up, you get 39 cubic feet, and it stretches to 66.3 with the rear seats folded. That's just a few cubic inches behind the RAV4, but in real-life packing scenarios, you won't notice the difference. I had no problem fitting luggage, a stroller, and a week's worth of groceries back there. You've also got an adjustable load floor and a power liftgate on most trims, which makes it more usable for everyday stuff. The seating materials are also better than you'd expect for a $35,000 SUV. Even the mid-trims offer soft-touch surfaces, real stitching, and a smart layout that's easy to clean but doesn't look cheap. So you've got the space and the comfort dialed in. But what about powertrains? That's where the Tucson starts to make a strong case with its hybrid and plug-in hybrid setups, and those deserve their own spotlight. Most folks shopping for compact SUVs in 2025 and 2026 are asking the same question. Should I go hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or just stick with gas? Here's where the Tucson lineup shows its depth. If you're after efficiency and torque without spending $45K on a RAV4 Prime, Hyundai gives you 2 smart options, both built to work for real people, not just the EPA test cycle. The Tucson Hybrid pairs a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with an electric motor and a small 1.49 kilowatt-hour battery. It makes a combined 226 horsepower, and it sends power through a proper 6-speed automatic, not a CVT. That makes it feel a little more natural to drive than something like a CR-V hybrid. Then there's the plug-in hybrid, which uses the same engine but ups the power to 268 horsepower and packs a bigger 13.8 kilowatt-hour battery that gives you around 32 miles of all-electric range. That's not quite Toyota RAV4 Prime levels, but it's real-world usable. And unlike the RAV4 Prime, which gets scarce and marked up at dealerships, Tucson PHEVs tend to be easier to find and actually priced where they should be. I've driven the PHEV and was impressed by how well the transition from EV to hybrid mode is managed. You don't get a jolt, and the all-wheel drive system, which is standard on all hybrid and PHEV trims, delivers steady traction without drama. Acceleration is solid, with 0 to 60 in about 7.1 seconds, and the regen braking can be tuned to your liking. If you do a lot of city driving or commute under 30 miles a day, the plug-in version could let you skip the gas station most of the week. But even the regular hybrid is smooth, efficient, and undercuts Toyota's pricing by a few thousand. Now, let me wrap this up. The 2026 Hyundai Tucson doesn't radically change the compact SUV game, but it doesn't need to. It builds on the solid refresh from 2025 and adds meaningful upgrades where it counts. With a refined interior, competitive rear seat and cargo space, and an expanding range of powertrains, including a capable hybrid and plug-in hybrid, it's pretty obvious that this thing delivers on the practical needs of most buyers. Where Tucson truly stands apart is in long-term ownership value. Hyundai's warranty remains the best in its class, and its 3 years of complimentary maintenance give it an edge over both Toyota and Honda. Add in the incoming Plio's Connect infotainment system, and it positions the 2026 model as one of the first compact SUVs to adopt true software-defined architecture without moving into EV territory or inflating the price. If you're looking for sharp handling or exciting performance, there are more engaging options out there. But if what you care about is comfort, tech, and long-term reliability with low hassle, the Tucson is one of the most well-rounded choices on the market. Waiting for the 2026 version isn't just a good idea, it's a smart, future-ready move.